It's picture day at school. Look at how pretty you are. Alright, you ready for school?
Yeah.
Okay, well let's go then. Now, one of the things that I've been working on is how are we going to get more organic matter into the soil here. The soil here is a real issue. It's this hard clay. There's almost no organic matter in it. The moisture sits on the surface. It doesn't sink in real well. So how are we going to get moisture into the soil? And one of the things that I've decided we're going to do is we're going to plant this entire area out in pumpkin. We're going to just cover this place in pumpkin. I'm going to plant hundreds of pumpkins throughout here. Just get a bunch. We've got a bunch of seeds from the pumpkins we planted over by the food forest. We're just going to plant out the pumpkins in this section and cover this place in pumpkin. Now, planting all that pumpkin is going to act like a ground cover. The pumpkin will kind of be a ground cover. Not a complete ground cover, but kind of like a ground cover. It's also going to give us a lot of roots into the ground. And these roots are going to help break up this clay. Now, that's not the only thing we're going to do. We've got a whole bunch of this gunga pea or pigeon pea that we've got growing over in the food forest. We're going to harvest all that pea. We're going to plant that out over here in this section as well. The goal is it'll give us two crops. We'll get the pumpkin and we'll have the gunga pea. And by planting those two, we're going to really get, one, we get a legume. And then two, on top of the legume, we also get a cover crop. So the legume's going to add nitrogen. The pumpkin, the cover crop pumpkin, is going to continue to bring organic matter into the soil, which is what we need more than anything right now. This soil is awfully rough. If we don't get organic matter into this soil soon, we're going to have issues. Now, there's one more thing to consider as well. All these trees that we cut down, all their roots are in the ground. All these roots are going to rot away. That's going to be a big deal. That's going to help us organic matter-wise. We are going to get a lot of organic matter into the soil just by the roots from all these trees that we cleared. There's a lot of brush, a lot of trees, a lot of everything. So we're going to have that as well. Now, there's always a third crop. You know, you're familiar with the three sisters. It's a squash, a bean, and corn. Corn, bean, and a squash. Those are the three sisters guild. Here, we're going to use pea, gunga pea, or pigeon pea. That's our bean. Pumpkin is our squash. And we could plant corn as well. Corn has always been difficult here, but I might just plant it just to see what happens. Corn will give us some good organic matter in this soil. And since our entire purpose for doing all of this is the organic matter, that's what we want to do. Now, over the weekend, I picked up some peat moss because we don't have enough organic matter. I really think the problem we're having, some of these trees are dying strictly because it's all clay and no organic matter. And they're going from this rich soil that this rich potting mix that they've been grown in, into this hard clay. And they're just not liking it. So what we're going to do is, we're going to take the peat moss, we're going to add peat moss to every hole that we put trees into. Hopefully, by adding enough peat moss into these spots, it'll at least help them nurse their way in. Plus, the peat moss is definitely going to be adding significant amounts of organic matter to the soil, which is our goal in the first place. This is where this mahogany died. So we've dug it up, pushed all the mulch out of the way, dug it up real good, and added several shovelfuls of peat moss into this little section. Now he's going to put some water in it, and we're going to get the tree planted, and hopefully we'll move the mulch back in place, but not up against the stem this time. I'm showing this to show where exactly we are, because we're in the farthest corner here. If if you look right over here, is the banana circles right on the other side of that brush. But that's where the food forest starts. Right here is where the bees are. I haven't looked at the bees since we moved them. I really have been trying to give them a little space to adjust to the new place, but it's been a few weeks, and I should probably get in there and get a look. Now, all that peat moss is going to do two things. One, peat moss really holds moisture well, but on top of that, it's a whole lot of organic matter, and considering how heavy the clay is here, that organic matter is really important. We need more organic matter in the soil. This soil is actually better than what we had before. We got good worms. Oh yeah, we got worms. We got all kinds of life in the soil. This is a much more crumbly type, but it still has that super heavy clay. So it still needs the peat moss. We're just going to add the peat moss to it, give it a good mixing in. Now that's a much better setup. That will probably give us a better result. Now we're going to obviously have to come back here with more chips to really give it a good thorough mix. See over here, this area here is almost all grass. This is the issue. This is grass. These guys are pulling this stuff up and it takes forever. Now they clear around all of these trees. Pretty soon what they're going to do is they're going to come in here, they're going to cut down the trees that are standing and chip everything. They've got the chipper over there now, and there's a bunch of branches down already, so they're going to cut all that stuff down, chip everything that's down, and then keep moving. Because this little corner is all that's left for us to do. It's about halfway through the day. I need to get ready to pick up Pretty Girl from school. So I'm going to leave these guys here. We positioned a few more trees to be planted. Guys are working on that. And then these other guys are over here. They've cleared a lot of this grass. They're about to cut down and chip some of the trees that are over here. We had a little rain today. Well, a little. Yeah. I'd say a little. Okay, it stopped. We're able to work. That means it was a little rain. Okay, so since we had a little rain, these guys weren't able to do some of the stuff that needed to be done, but what they have done is focused on getting these trees planted. So we've got a bunch more of them in the ground. We located a few more places, and we're making progress getting these trees planted. Now, here's one of the cedar trees. We just planted this one today. They've got it fully mulched in. Looks nice. We had to transplant a couple ones that were bad. Now, we had 2 dead mahoganies on the other section, the early part, but we had a couple others that were starting to really show signs of growth. So I think we're going to start seeing these trees really start to take off soon. All right, we're done for the night, guys. We've got a bunch of trees planted. They did get a bunch of the stuff cut down and cleared over there. The rain interfered with things and stopped a lot of the work, but they were able to get a bunch of other things in the ground after that. So at least we've got a bunch of trees planted. Hopefully it's not going to rain tomorrow and we can get stuff done tomorrow.